All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Walrus and Comic Sports Report podcast. Brett, it was an awesome weekend filled with wrestling.
Yeah, Wrestlemania.
That's right.
In an empty building.
In an empty building, but there was so much. It's hard to explain how excited I was watching this event because there's so much we can actually talk about now. Because I feel like in the beginning, I was like, all right, I don't know how this is going to go. But by the end of the first day, I was like, all right, WWE's got this. And then by the end of the second day, I was like, man, blew my mind. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not in my bottom 10 WrestleManias. It's up there. It's like middle of the pack. And that's where I feel like that's where you need to be if you're WWE, especially in a circumstance like we have now where you can't have live crowds.
It was. I tried to take into account that there were no crowds. It was a special circumstance. Man, mostly, it got a thumbs down from me.
I think you're ridiculous.
Mostly at the bottom end.
I think you're ridiculous. 100%. I think if you went back and watched a WrestleMania like right now with no volume, not listening to the announcers, the announce team sucks for WWE.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like Byron Saxton a little bit, but Michael Cole, terrible. You just need why do you bring JBL back for this? I have no clue at all. I mean, I guess he's all right, but
he's better than Michael Cole.
He is better than Michael Cole. That is true. I don't know. I watched most of it without the audio, or if I did, I was really trying to focus in on what the wrestlers were saying to each other in the ring. I like all the trash talk that was going on.
How unfortunate was that for you when Seth Rollins in the ring?
You know, get the raspy voice on.
It's not even his voice that does
Kevin!
it.
It's kind of like
not
that.
even his voice that does it for me. It's the shit he says.
I mean, I think it's just his character that he has right now. Hey, he is the Monday Night Messiah.
Whoa.
He's got to say stuff that's ridiculous.
Whoa, when he was a babyface, when he was a good guy, he sounded like he was on an MTV teen drama.
Well, you know, I'm going to take my glasses off for this because
he sounded like he was reading off a teleprompter 100% of the time.
Well, I think it's just because he might struggle on the mic. I mean, to be honest with you. But his trash talk wasn't terrible.
You know,
okay, it was bad.
Yeah,
I take that
you
back.
know,
I take it
you
back.
know, if you can't talk, you don't deserve a top spot, right?
I mean, he's not in a top spot though. He's more of a mid-class, a mid-card type.
They tried to push him for a long time.
Well, yeah, but
let his goofy ass talk on the mic a lot.
It's because like they tried. I think if they pushed him as a babyface more, he would have done better. Because I just don't think he's a heel. Like I know he's a natural heel, but I don't think he's like a good heel in wrestling.
Stop letting his goofy ass talk.
I mean, listen, they're not going to do that because WWE's at this point right now where they're almost there. Like they've almost developed, you know, the next wave.
Here's a fun comparison.
Okay.
Let's compare the talking abilities of Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt.
That's not even fair.
No!
Bray Wyatt is one of the best on the microphone. And we're going to cover that. Let's cover that a little bit like later when we talk about that match they had. But, yeah. I mean, he totally... But Bray Wyatt outclasses almost anyone on the microphone. I don't know too many people. Paul Heyman? Paul Heyman versus Bray Wyatt would probably be a really good... That'd be a good little microphone match or whatever.
Little
promo battle. That'd be pretty solid, I would think. Trying to think of other people who can cut a good promo. I don't even think AJ Styles cuts a good promo.
What?
Like I think his promo he did on The Undertaker was only good because it was really personal.
AJ Styles.
I just think he wrestles better than he talks.
I think they script him too much. I think they've always, where he came from and as much background as he had before he got to WWE, I think if they let him do the stuff that he did more on TNA, I don't think they let him loose enough.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I've
heard him get there when he was it him and John Cena in Royal Rumble a few years ago, which is one of my favorite matches of all time.
Oh yeah, that was a good match.
They didn't even leave the ring. It was just a wrestling match. That was one of my favorite matches of all time.
That was a match. Didn't John Cena break out some new moves we'd never seen? Was that around the time he did the stunner from the ring?
I want to say 2016.
Like I feel like John Cena did something in that match that I'd never seen him do, and I was like, "Whoa, John Cena trying something fresh."
But the build up to that match, he had some good promos. But it felt like when you. It always feels like when you're working with John Cena helps you get more freedom.
Yeah, he's great on the microphone.
So and he helps you get more freedom. Like he tells the boss, he's working with me. Let's give him some room.
It's because John Cena doesn't read anything from a script.
Right. So AJ Styles had more room in that program, and he was better than he had ever been because I think they hold him down a lot.
Man, you talking about like scripting, people talking and stuff. I think they've got some pretty decent people in NXT on the microphone. Tommaso Ciampa, phenomenal on the microphone. I don't know if you've heard much of his promos. Adam Cole, phenomenal on there. But I know you're not a big fan of the small guy wrestler, but I feel like when you're that small, your mic skills have to be A1 good, and your in-ring skills have to be A1 good.
The soccer players.
And those guys they're phenomenal. They are absolutely phenomenal. Which gets to the point where tonight they're going to have Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano for the last time.
Until the next time.
Well, I think what's going to happen is I think they're going to move one of them up against their wishes. Oh. Both of them don't want to go. Like people in NXT don't really want to come up.
There's people up that want to go down.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that, how that happened actually on the pay-per-view too. But I think on SmackDown Friday night, I think we're going to get a surprise. I think they moved Keith Lee up, finally. I think it's time. Keith Lee is a big-time player. Bring him up to SmackDown. Give him a match with Braun. It doesn't have to be for the title, but give Braun some legitimacy, which we'll talk about the results of the thing. But that would make him legitimate as a wrestler to beat someone like that who gave Roman Reigns the run of his life in the Royal Rumble, right? And like Roman Reigns said after that, they just really it kind of blew him away, honestly. And that's where people realized Keith Lee was actually something you have to a force to be reckoned with in WWE. So let's get to it, man. I'm excited to talk about this because there was a lot of really good matches on this card. If you watched the podcast we did last week, and it feels like it was like 3 weeks ago, man. I feel like the podcast is just, I don't know. I look back on it. I've watched the podcast we put up probably 2 or 3 times just to kind of, look at some things and reflect on some things I said and see how good I did pretty well. I think I only messed up on one match on this wrestling card for predicting the winner. Going back at it, I think it was, I had a pretty good thing. Now, some of my angles I took have not come to fruition. This still possibly could. So, I have a little article here. We'll just kind of go down it. In the order they have, not the order that we saw in WrestleMania, because I wasn't writing all that down. I'm not doing that much work for a job I'm not getting paid for here. All right, but let's talk about first. We had the women's tag team title match, the Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Now, first things first, the women's title is the women's tag team belts are defended on both Raw and SmackDown. So the team they travel between both brands, okay? Which I actually like.
I like having one champion that travels.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind having one heavyweight champion who travels between the both.
Having a champion who travels.
I'm fine with that 100%. But I think for the way they have the brand split,
did they try to do that at one time with the Undisputed when Chris Jericho had both belts when he had traveling champion. Yeah. It just doesn't really work for most things, but. Because the women's divisions, leaving one brand kind of has nothing to do for a month.
Yeah, and with the women's tag team titles, there's not many tag teams in the women's division, so it kind of makes sense why they travel between it. So that
it seems like I always remember that being kind of strange, even not when they were both belts, but even when I think they still do it like this, where 1 month is a SmackDown pay-per-view and 1 month is a Raw pay-per-view. View. It feels like on the other brand. Then they have
3 or 4 days.
It feels like on the other brand when they have 8 weeks to a pay-per-view as opposed to 4. it seems like things get a little
stale.
Like, what are we gonna do for 8 weeks?
Yeah, I get that 100%. I actually agree with that. I think that's why you see a lot more shorter storylines, because I don't necessarily think they have the best writers right now in WWE, and I think that I think really it's just because Vince overrules everything. If you let your writers have creative control, you might actually have better storylines.
See, I think they have too many television writers, not enough wrestling writers. I think everybody's a Hollywood writer trying to make a TV show instead of a wrestling show.
Yeah, that's one thing. AEW has been it's been interesting for me. I know we're talking WWE right now, but for AEW, there's been some interesting storylines, but it's mostly because Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho have a lot of power within that company, and they kind of determine a lot of the things and stuff that they do, right? So, it's, for me, I just think that where AEW lacks is I don't think they actually have the same wrestling ability as WWE wrestlers. Now, I think there are a top, like, obviously, Chris Jericho, but one of the best wrestlers in the world. I mean, top 5 wrestler in the world, 100%. Dean Ambrose, who is not his name there, but that's for the purpose of it, one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. But he doesn't get a lot of TV time, actually. It's kind of weird. He just maybe he's been injured. Maybe that's what it is, or sick. But, you know, it's been kind of weird with the coronavirus stuff anyways. John Moxley is his name on AEW. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Phenomenal wrestler. Top 10. Does a really good job not making the show about him, because he could put all the titles on himself if he wanted. But he really does a good job there. So there are a lot of really good wrestlers. But if you're not that elite tier that have been established from somewhere else, you're really not that good in AEW.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, right? They're making their life all the WCW way, off of people who are it is, and we've seen it fail numerous times. But we'll see kind of what happens. Yeah, I don't imagine Chris Jericho has many more years where he's going to be actively wrestling. I think that he was the champion to be a transitional champion in the beginning, carry the belt as long as you needed to develop your other people, and then he'll probably move into more of an instructional role or like a managerial role, and obviously go and do his concerts. So he's got that going for him. But back to WWE, okay? So Kabuki Warriors, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross. This match, I like the tag team of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. It's so funny. They nickname Nikki as Naughty Nikki.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And if you go actually look at pictures of her before she was in WWE, especially in NXT, because they made her look really strange. She's pretty strong. Okay, so they have Nikki Cross with Alexa Bliss for a couple reasons. The biggest reason is Nikki Cross is the worker, Alexa Bliss is the injury prone one. So basically, they really like what they have in Alexa Bliss, but they need someone to kind of carry her so she doesn't take too many unnecessary bumps because she's so small. I think she's like 5 foot even.
Yeah. I
mean, she's really small. So what you see there is basically a tag team where Nikki Cross takes the biggest bumps. And which we see that all throughout wrestling history anyways. There's always one person in the tag team that takes more.
Don't let Kevin Nash hurt his knees.
Yeah. Let X-Pac get the beat down and then rip his butthole open. Yeah. No, sorry. Even though that happens much later. But basically, you have one person take the beat down, the one person come in and clean the clogs and get the win. In this one, I think basically WWE was experimenting because they had 2 Japanese wrestlers. They're like, oh, we'll put them together as a tag team. But both of them individually are actually great wrestlers. Together as a tag team, it really made no sense other than the fact that they're both bad and they were Japanese. I think Asuka's ceiling is
and we can't erase that.
I think Asuka's ceiling is much higher, right? Going back to your point, that's how they used to play it right there, right? The Iron Sheik was the bad guy because the country he was from, even though he's American, was the bad guy. That's a smart way to do it. But the fans didn't really see it that way. No. And it didn't really make sense. Now, Asuka has the higher ceiling of the two. 100%. I think that Kairi Sane, she was like a good girl. Like she was one of the good ones. Then she went bad, and like no one really. People liked her in NXT when she was good, but when she was bad, no one really liked her at all. So I think it was just a bad fit with that. I imagine you'll see her kind of disappear. But Asuka is someone that they're really high on. But Vince McMahon doesn't want the women's champion to be Japanese. Yeah,
he wants what he wants.
Yeah.
He's a strange man.
Yeah, he is. But, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross won the tag team titles.
It was an average match.
CBS grades it a B-, actually. And a lot of it was, there were some good, hard-hitting exchanges. People were kind of invested in the storyline because Asuka and Kairi Sane have been ducking them, and people love Naughty Nikki. And Alexa Bliss. I predicted them to win, so I predicted that the Kabuki Warriors would lose, and I predicted pretty much that Asuka's going to go off and she's going to make her way back in the singles competition. I could see this after this tag team title reign with Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross. I could see them feeling comfortable with putting Nikki back in the singles competition and then breaking them up after they would drop the title.
Quarantine me, oh!
Please do. Yeah, I'm going to have to stop coming, man. Over here, like, we're through this remotely. Look at you. You look like you're dying. Look at him, folks. Look, if you had a face like that, you woke up every morning, wouldn't you just go ahead and off yourself?
I would.
I would, too. All right. Next match.
That's on the next episode.
Oh, gosh. We're recording that one next, guys. Oh, no. But,
I'm
so.
not gonna make that joke until later.
Aha. Dun. So, King Corbin versus Elias is the next match we'll cover. Once again, I got this one correct. I said that Elias was going to win.
He's not done sucking his own dick yet.
Hey,
folks.
listen, man. If you got it, you got it, all right? If you win, you win. You've got to flaunt it, right?
That's right.
Like, that's what we remember. We remember the performances where you win. And I was a winner on this pay-per-view. I'm not always a winner.
A lot of people are going to remember the Falcons losing that Super Bowl.
You're right. 28-point lead.
Yeah. There's a way to be remembered in
God, imagine being that coach. You blew that lead at the Falcons, and you blew the lead with the 49ers.
What a good thing. Listen, kids, there is always a way to be remembered, even from the losers bracket.
That's right.
If you're gonna lose, do it big.
Hey, that's how you're known. You're a loser.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really make it in stand-up comedy because there's nowhere to stand up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we're sitting there.
As soon as I start comedy, everything shuts down.
Everything shuts down.
Let's do a sports podcast. All the sports shut down.
That's right. You were cursed.
A loser.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, we could use your help helping to spread this this podcast here. Give some
make me a winner.
Make us some contacts. We need your help. Some likes, some follows, some shares.
That's right. You see what I'm thinking is last week we had, was it 29 views?
29 views so far to this point and 2 likes.
Share it. Share it with your friends.
Sharing is caring.
You have to have wrestling friends.
Yeah, people love wrestling.
You're not just sitting there thinking, interesting.
Yeah.
I wish I had friends. Yeah,
everyone has a friend that's a wrestling fan. So share this with them, and maybe they can give us some feedback, and maybe they can enjoy what we're putting out product-wise. All right, back to the match. It's rated a C-. Okay, King Corbin versus Elias. No fan would have been into this match at all. That's why it's great that it was in front of a dead crew.
Because trust me, if there were 1 million people in there, it would not have sounded.
Yeah.
What
it would have been
about? Any different than it sounded.
It would have sounded just like that.
The crowd would have watched like
what they did on SmackDown the night before, right?
This is me watching the match.
Yeah. So what they did on SmackDown to try to get heat on the match the night before is Elias was doing a concert from up where Gronk was standing, doing a concert, and King Corbin basically threw him off of it into the thing. They're like, we don't think Elias is going to make it to the match, and then he comes out and he whacks King Corbin in the head with his guitar. Jeff Jarrett, son. Absolutely great.
I love the guitar shot.
Oh, I love a great guitar shot.
I love every guitar shot.
Yeah, I just like to think, man.
When I say the guitar shot, I love every guitar shot.
I always like to think, man, I wish I had money just to break a guitar on someone's head.
Bang.
Bang. So it was the match.
Next episode.
Yeah, the match. It was a match. Both wrestlers are talented, but I was not invested in it at all. This is probably my least favorite match of the pay-per-view. Possibly.
Not mine.
Possibly mine. I can't remember.
This was my second least favorite.
I can't remember.
And I am so disappointed in what my least favorite was. But we'll get to it.
Yeah. Your least favorite one was actually probably one of my top 4
Oh,
matches.
God. I was so disappointed.
I don't know. I just... Yeah.
We'll argue.
All right,
We'll argue.
let's go to the Raw Championship, Raw Women's Championship match. Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. Okay. You want to go first on this one? Or you always just want me to give my things first?
This one was...
A match.
I don't remember much about this one. That says everything about it.
You don't remember much about it. All right, so...
I watched it and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I remember them doing stuff, but
yeah.
I don't remember anything that stood out to me.
I remember one comment you made on Facebook Messenger was potato.
Oh my God! I forgot about that. Holy shit!
No, I mean...
Was it like 2 minutes into the match?
Yeah.
They are trading punches.
Yeah.
And Shayna Baszler potatoes the hell out of Becky Lynch.
Now,
if you hadn't seen it, go ahead.
For people who might not understand what the term potato means.
She punches her. She punches her in the temple.
Just straight whack.
For those of you who hadn't seen it, go back and watch. They're trading punches, and they look like wrestling punches until Shayna Baszler throws one, and it doesn't stop where it's supposed to stop. It stops.
She straight whacks her in the head.
Right in. Bam!
Hi.
And I was thinking, how did she stand up?
Is it bad that I really enjoy when the women get really physical?
I loved it.
Like, I think that they feel like they have something to prove.
Lesnar potatoed.
Braun Strowman knocked him out on his feet.
I can't believe this one didn't wobble her. Yeah. She knocked the shit out of her.
I mean, maybe she's the man, right? I mean,
that was a real punch.
And Shayna Baszler was a MMA fighter too. Yeah. So a real punch from an MMA fighter, like, and you still don't go out on your feet.
I was wondering if that was like, was that a receipt for something, or what was that?
You know, like,
was that an accident?
It could have been an accident. I think a lot of times with these MMA fighters, it's just so ingrained in their body.
It's just muscle memory. It's like, I throw punches.
And I do not think this is the last time we're going to see this matchup at all. And I think that they're probably pretty comfortable working with each other.
Please go back and watch that punch.
Yeah. You need to go watch the match. The match is good. Listen, you say what you want. I've watched Shayna Baszler from her debut in NXT, where they were like, she's the next best big thing, and she could barely wrestle. To the point where she's been in there, what,
I like her
2
better
or 3
than,
years?
I like her better than I've ever liked Ronda Rousey.
But Ronda Rousey was getting better. But up to the point that she left.
I think Shayna Baszler has a higher ceiling.
I think so too, because Shayna Baszler wasn't already coming in as touted as one of the baddest women on the planet. I think a lot of Ronda Rousey's shortcoming was the fact that she was so well known, she couldn't take the time to develop wrestling skills like that. But you know what they say though? Maybe. They say that
that's well known, but they needed him so soon. It's like you don't have time.
But like Ronda Rousey, one thing they say is that she busted her tail in training. Like she said, they said that there was no one who trained harder than her.
I believe that.
And you could tell every match she was getting a little better. Every match. And the same way with Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler comes out, the first 10 matches, she just slaps on the coquina clutch and boom, they're done. Right? But you could tell as she was working more with the trainers and in the gym, she's got to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And that type of development is really what you need. Becky Lynch is an amazing wrestler. It's a shame that she is married to Seth Rollins.
Let me tell you about how much of a shame it is.